In the garden. Kipper went into Chip's room and picked up the magic key. The key began to glow. "Oh, help!" said Kipper. Kipper ran outside and looked for Biff and Chip. "Help!" he called. "The key is glowing." Biff and Chip were playing with Wilf and Wilma. They were playing in the sandpit. "Look at the magic key," called Kipper. Biff was cross with Kipper. "Come on, everyone," she yelled. "Run inside. Get to the magic house." It was too late. The magic began to work. The children got smaller and smaller. The children were in the grass, and everything looked big. The grass was like a jungle. "What big flowers," said Kipper. Chip saw a bumblebee. He didn't like it, and he didn't like the jungle. "Let's get out of here," he called. The children came out of the jungle. They came to a mountain. "What a big mountain," said Wilf. Chip began to climb. He wanted to get to the top. "Come on," he said. "Let's climb up." The children got to the top. Kipper was hot. "I don't like climbing mountains," he said. The children looked at the sand. "It looks like a desert," said Biff. "Let's go down." "Oh no," said Kipper. "Look at the toy car," said Wilma. "Let's get inside and ride down." "We can ride down to the desert." Whoosh! The car took them down the mountain. "This is fun," said Wilma. The car stopped in the sand. The children climbed out. "Oh no," said Wilf. "Look at that big cat." The children climbed inside a bottle. Kipper was frightened. "I don't like this," he said. The cat looked inside the bottle. It pushed it with its paw. "Go away, cat," shouted Kipper. "Shoo!" everyone yelled. Floppy chased the cat away. The children climbed out of the bottle. "Good old Floppy," said Biff. They walked over the desert. Everyone felt hot. Everyone felt very hot. "I want a drink," said Kipper. "Look," said Wilf. "Giant strawberries." The children ran to eat them. "I love strawberries," said Chip. "So do I," said Wilf. The children ate the strawberries. They pulled off big lumps. Kipper licked his lips. "I like this adventure now," he said. It began to rain. "What big drops," said Wilma. "I feel sick now," said Kipper. "So do I," said Chip. The children ran to a giant flower pot. They hid under it. The key began to glow. The magic was over. "I can't see," said Chip. He had the flower pot on his head. "I like the hat," said Wilma. Dad looked at his strawberries. "I don't know," he said. "There must be a giant slug around here." Kipper and the Giant. Kipper was watching television. He was watching a program called The Angry Giant. He liked the program. The angry giant lived in a castle near a village. Nobody in the village liked the giant. He was always cross. When the giant was cross, he stamped his feet and the houses shook. "Oh no," everyone said. "He's cross again. He's always cross." Kipper wanted to find Chip, but he was out. He picked up the magic key and it began to glow. "Ooh," said Kipper. He ran to get Biff, but she was out with Chip. The magic began to work. It took Kipper inside the magic house. The magic took Kipper to the gate of the giant castle. Kipper was frightened. He saw a signpost. It pointed to the village. He didn't want to meet the giant, so he went to the village. Kipper came to the village, but it was tiny. Kipper was a giant. "Oh no," said Kipper. "Go away," yelled the people. "We don't want you. We've got one giant. We don't want another one." The people threw things at Kipper. "Go away," they yelled. "We don't want another giant. We don't want you." "Stop it," shouted Kipper. "I'm not a giant. I'm a boy." The people said, "Well, you look like a giant." Kipper began to cry. "I'm not a giant," he said. "I am a little boy and I don't like this adventure." "Giants don't cry," said the people. "Perhaps he is a little boy, but he looks like a giant to us. Perhaps he can help us." Kipper helped the villagers to mend their houses. He put back the broken roofs. "Good old Kipper," everyone said. "The giant threw this big stone at us," said the people. "We don't want it here. Can you put it outside the village?" "Yes," said Kipper. "I will try." He picked up the stone and took it outside the village. "Good old Kipper," everyone called. All the people liked Kipper. "Thank you," they said. "You have helped us a lot." The village band played for him. The giant came back. He was very angry when he saw Kipper in the village. "I'm the giant here," he shouted. He ran toward the village. Crash! He fell over the stone. "Ouch!" he yelled. The people were frightened, but Kipper went to help the giant. He picked up the giant things and put a bandage around his head. Kipper was bigger than the giant. "Be a good giant," said Kipper. "Stop being angry and the people will like you." So the giant stopped being angry. "I will try to be good," he said. "Hooray!" shouted the people. "Let's have a party." The key began to glow. "It's time for me to go now," said Kipper. "Goodbye. Thank you for the party." The magic took Kipper home. "Nobody likes an angry giant," said Kipper. "What an adventure!" The outing. A bus came to the school. The children climbed in. "I like going out," said Wilf. "Don't push," said Mrs. May. The bus set off. "Hooray!" shouted the children. "We are going to the zoo." "Don't shout, children," said Mrs. May. Biff sat with Chip. Wilf sat with Nadim. "This is fun," shouted Nadim. "It is, if you don't shout," said Mrs. May. The bus stopped on the way. The children climbed out. Some children looked at the water. Some children went to the toilet. "Don't run away," said Mrs. May, "and don't go too near the water." Wilf kicked a stone and his shoe came off. The shoe landed in the water with a splash. "Oh, Wilf," said Biff. Wilf couldn't get his shoes. He told Mrs. May about it. "What a silly thing to do," she said. "I don't know what we can do." When they got to the zoo, it began to rain. The children climbed out of the bus, and Mrs. May went to get the tickets. Nadine wanted to see the elephants. Wilf wanted to see the lions, and Biff wanted to see the crocodiles. "I hope the rain stops," said Mrs. May. It rained and rained. The children were fed up. The animals were fed up too. "Don't get wet," said Mrs. May. The rain didn't stop, so the children climbed back on the bus. "Can we go to the museum?" asked Nadim. "What a good idea," said Mrs. May. They went to the museum. "This is good," said Wilf. "We can see dinosaurs here." "I like dinosaurs," said Nadim. They began to run towards the dinosaurs. "Don't run," called Mrs. May. "The dinosaurs won't go away." They looked at a big dinosaur. "What is this one called?" asked Wilf. "I don't know yet," said Nadim. "Let's go and see." Biff had a camera. She took a photograph of the dinosaur. "What is it called?" she asked. "It is an Apatosaurus," said Nadim. The children went into a room. A lady told them about dinosaurs and showed them some pictures. "I know what that one is called," said Nadim. "It's called an Apatosaurus." "Good, Nadim," said Mrs. May. The children went to the shop. Wolf got a book about dinosaurs. Nadim got a model to make. It was a model of an Apatosaurus. "I can make it at home," he said. Chip said, "Come to our house. We can help you." The bus got back to school. It was time to go home. "Thank you," said the children. "Thank you for a lovely day." "Goodbye, Mrs. May," said Nadim. "Can we draw dinosaurs tomorrow?" "What a good idea," said Mrs. May. Nadim and Will went home with Biff and Chip. They went to Chip's room and began to make the model. The magic key began to glow. Biff ran to the box and picked it up. "Come on," she called. "It's time for a magic adventure." "Come on, Nadim," called Chip. "We are going on a magic adventure. We are going to the land of the dinosaurs." Land of the dinosaurs. "We are going on a magic adventure," said Chip. The children went through the door of the magic house. "Oh, help!" said Nadim. The magic took the children to the land of the dinosaurs. "I don't want this adventure," said Nadim. "I don't want to meet a dinosaur." A dragonfly flew by. "Look at this," said Chip. "It's a giant dragonfly. What a big one." Chip found a footprint. It was a giant footprint. "Come and look," said Chip. "It must be a dinosaur's footprint." Biff took a photograph of a giant footprint. I can take this photograph to school, she said. Nadine found some eggs. They were big eggs. They must be a dinosaur's eggs, he said. One of the eggs began to crack. It's going to hatch out, said Biff. Something came out of the egg. It's a little dinosaur, said Nadine. Something flew by. The children were frightened. What is it? Asked Chip. I don't know, said Biff. The children ran. It's a flying dinosaur, said Nadine. And it's a big one. Come on, let's hide. The flying dinosaur flew down to the eggs. It picked up the little dinosaur in its teeth. Oh no, said Biff. It's going to eat it. She picked up a stick and ran out. Go away, she yelled. The dinosaur flew away, but Chip was cross with Biff. You were silly, he said. It could have got you. Wilf ran on and climbed the hill. He wanted to look for an Apatosaurus. Come up here, Biff, he called. You can take a photograph. Wilf had not climbed on a hill. He had climbed on a dinosaur, and it was enormous. It looked round at Wilf. Wilf was frightened. Oh, help, he said. He jumped down and ran. Let's get out of here, he called. Don't be frightened, said Chip. It's an Apatosaurus. It's like the one in the museum. It won't hurt us. Biff took a photograph of it. What a long neck it's got. And what a long tail, she said. I need a bigger camera. The Apatosaurus ran into the water. What an enormous splash, said Wilf. Nadim looked frightened. Oh, help, he called. Another dinosaur was coming and it looked very fierce. Let's get out of here, yelled Chip. Biff took a photograph. Come on, yelled Chip. Don't stop for that. This one could eat us. They began to run away. Wilf's another shoe came off in the mud. Suddenly the key began to glow. Just in time, said Chip. The magic took the children to Biff's bedroom. What an adventure, said Biff. I've got some good photographs. This is the fierce dinosaur, said Chip. Did you take his photograph? Yes, said Biff. Let's tell Mom and Dad. I took photographs of dinosaurs, said Biff. Oh yes, said Dad. Well, I'm sorry I didn't put a film in the camera. Robin Hood. Biff and Wilma went to the pantomime. They went with Wilma's mom. They had a friend called Anina. Anina went to the pantomime with them. The pantomime was about Robin Hood. Robin Hood was a good man. He lived in a wood with his men. Everyone liked Robin Hood, and they gave a cheer every time he came in. There was a bad man called the sheriff. Nobody liked the sheriff. He wanted to catch Robin Hood and lock him up. Look out, Robin! Shouted the children. The next day, Wilma and Anina went to play with Biff. They sang a song about Robin Hood. Wilma played her guitar and Anina played her recorder. Kipper didn't like the song. He put his hands over his ears and made a face. Ooh, said Kipper. Kipper had a key round his neck. It was the magic key. Biff was cross with Kipper. "Put the key back in the box," she said. Suddenly the key began to glow. "Look out, Anina," said Biff. "This is a magic key and the magic is working. It's time for an adventure." The magic took the children to a wood. It was the wood where Robin Hood lived. The children could see Robin with some of his men. Robin Hood had not seen the children. Anina was frightened. "I hope he is a good man," she said. "Come on," said Kipper. "I can smell food." Robin Hood saw the children. "Who are you?" he asked. "Are you lost in the woods? Come and sit down." The children sat by the fire. "We saw you in a play," said Anina. "We can sing a song about you." "Oh no," said Kipper. "Not the song again." Biff, Wilma, and Anina sang the song. The song said everyone liked Robin, but nobody liked the sheriff. Robin Hood's men gave a cheer. "What a good song," said Robin Hood. "Sing it to me again." Kipper looked inside a big black pot. Nobody saw the sheriff coming. Suddenly, the sheriff's men ran in. They grabbed Robin Hood and put a rope round him. "Gotcha at last," said the sheriff. They jumped on Robin's men and they grabbed Biff, Wilma, and Anina. They put them all into a cot. "Take them away," said the sheriff. Kipper hid in the big black pot. The sheriff's man didn't see him. "Oh no," he said. "What can I do? I must help them." The sheriff took them to a village. He said, "My castle is too far away, so we will stop here. One of my men will see you. Don't get away." Kipper went up to the man. He gave the man a sweet. "What is that thing?" he asked. "You lock people up in it," said the man. "You can't lock people in that," said Kipper. "You can't get them in." "Oh yes you can," said the man. "Look." He put his head and his hands. "Ha!" said Kipper. "You fell for it." He locked the man and took away his keys. "Ah!" said the man. Kipper set them free. "Come on everyone," said Robin Hood. "Let's go back to the woods. We don't want the sheriff to catch us." They went to a new part of the woods. "3 cheers for Kipper," said Robin Hood. "Now let's sing that song about me again." "Oh no," said Kipper. Suddenly the magic key began to glow. "Just in time," said Kipper. "It's time for us to go." "Goodbye," said the children. "Goodbye," said Robin Hood, "and thanks." "What an adventure," said Nina. "I liked Robin Hood and his men. Let's sing the song." "Ah!" said Kipper. The treasure chest. Every week, Mrs. May took some of the children to the swimming pool. The children were good swimmers, and they liked going with Mrs. May. The children were taking a swimming test. "It's time to begin," said Mrs. May. "Who wants to go first?" "We do," said Nadine. Biff, Chip, Wilma, and Nadim jumped into the pool. The water was warm. "Off you go," 'Off 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 you go," ' They had to swim up and down the pool. They had to swim 10 lengths. Wilma was first to swim 10 lengths, and Biff and Nadim were next. It was hard for Chip to swim the 10 lengths. "Come on, Chip," called Mrs. May. "Don't stop. This is the last length." So Chip went on and everyone was pleased. Next, they had to swim to the bottom of the pool. They had to pick up a brick and swim with it to the top. All the children passed the swimming test. Mrs. May was pleased. "Well done, everyone," she said. The children were pleased too. Biff and Chip told Mom and Dad about the swimming test. "We passed," they said. Mom and Dad were very pleased too. Mom and Dad had a surprise for them. Biff and Chip couldn't see what the surprise was. "What is it?" asked Biff. "It's a fish tank," said Biff. "What a lovely surprise!" Everyone looked at the fish swimming about in the tank. "There is room for more fish," said Dad. "We can get some next time we go shopping." The next day they went shopping. Dad took them to a shop that sold fish. "What a lovely shop," said Biff. "Look at all the fish." There were big fish and little fish. Kipper liked the big fish in a tank. "Don't tap the glass," said Dad. "The fish don't like it." Dad put some more fish in the tank. He put rocks on the bottom. Next to the rocks, he put a ship and a little box. Wilma and Nadim came to see the fish tank. "It looks lovely," said Wilma. "I wish I could swim in there." They went to play in Biff's room. Chip ran in with the magic key. The key was glowing. "It's time for an adventure," said Biff. The magic began to work. It took the children into a new adventure. This time it was a different sort of adventure. The magic took them underwater. The children had masks and flippers and tanks of air. They could swim underwater. The children had never seen so many fish. They were all different colors. "This is better than the pool," thought Chip. "I feel like a fish," thought Wilma. The children loved swimming under the water. It was lovely to see all the fish and to swim with them. Chip and Nadim swam to the bottom and picked up a big shell. Biff looked at a jellyfish, but she didn't swim too close. They saw a ship under the water. It was an old ship that had been under the water for a long time. They swam up to the ship. Wilma didn't want to swim too close to it. It looked dangerous. They saw an octopus. Oh no! It was sitting on a chest. They couldn't look inside the chest with an octopus sitting on the lid. They blew bubbles at the octopus. The octopus didn't like the bubbles, so it swam away. "Good," thought the children. "Now we can look inside." The children opened up the chest and looked inside. It was a treasure chest and it was full of gold. Biff and Wilma pushed the chest over and all the gold fell out. Nadim picked up a necklace and Biff picked up a gold cup. Biff and Nadim were busy looking at the treasure. They didn't see what Chip and Wilma saw. A shark was coming. Chip and Wilma couldn't tell Biff and Nadim. They pulled them away and pointed at the shark. The children were frightened. They swam and swam, but the shark swam after them. Then the magic key began to glow. The magic key took them out of the adventure. "Wow, what an adventure," said Biff. The treasure chest was like the one in our fish tank. The children ran to look in the fish tank. "Look, there's the treasure," said Chip. "How did it get there?" asked Nadim. "It's magic," said Biff.